I
Do you
definitely
believe in
don't
the
believe
cross?
in Jesus. I mean, it's obviously an ancient myth.
Oh, and what part of it is an ancient myth exactly?
Even the Jesus story, his biography, is completely unoriginal. You know, all the gods that came before him had like the same birthday.
And
Which gods would that be? The Egyptian god Horus, maybe? He seems like a likely candidate. Unfortunately, one source says Horus's birthday happened in the month of Kuah, which would be our month of November. Plutarch, the ancient writer, does say that Horus was born around the winter solstice, but there's no record of that being December 25th exactly, and Plutarch himself doesn't claim to be giving an exact date. How about the Roman god Mithra? Well, once again, there's no evidence of that either. The Roman versions has Mithra being born out of a rock with no date specifically mentioned. Other versions says that Mithra was created as an adult by Ahura Mazda, and once again has no birth date specified. In fact, you can go down the list, and the only mention of any celebration, birthday or otherwise, taking place in the ancient world on December 25th is the Roman festival of Sol Invictus. And the evidence for this comes after we already have Christians celebrating the date of Jesus' birth as December 25th. The historian Thomas Taylor actually argues that it's more likely that the Roman Emperor Aurelian placed Sol Invictus on December 25th to compete with the growing rate of Christianity and not the other way around.
The same, yes, disciples, like 12 people, many of them were
the
crucified on
Sumerians had
some sort of.
the same Jesus, the
Yeah,
same
they
somebody.
took the
Yeah.
stories that were going around the Mediterranean at the time, and they grafted it onto the life of Jesus.
There are no first-hand ancient pagan sources describing deities having 12 disciples. That's just made up out of whole cloth. There's also no example of any other divine figures being crucified. Crucifixion was a terrible, dehumanizing, and humiliating death. It was reserved for the lowest of the low within Roman society. The Roman orator Cicero even says it's vulgar and unbecoming to even say the word cross. The whole point of Jesus' death was that it was humiliating. That's why Paul says in 1 Corinthians 1:23 that the cross, specifically the Son of God, suffering on the cross, is foolishness to the Greeks. There were no stories for them to graft Jesus onto because the story of Jesus was unequivocally unique to any others during the ancient world.
There were lots of religions at the time. Of course, there are many that preceded Christianity. The reason why that one caught on is because they grafted these familiar elements onto it, like his birthday, coming back to life. That was an old story.
Not in the way that it's portrayed in the Gospels. In fact, the Greco-Roman world believed that the physical world was bad and the spiritual world is good. Your soul and life essence was essentially trapped in this meat prison that is your body. The Jewish and Christian idea of a resurrection, of literally coming back to life in a physical way after death, was seen and understood as complete nonsense to the ancient Romans, because they believed that freedom was to be released from your physical self, not to enter back into it. And the idea of Jesus coming back to life in a physical body, fully resurrected in that way, was just absolute nonsense in their understanding and worldview.
There's some very interesting scholarship done on this.
You know, there is some very interesting scholarship done on all of this. But Bill, and I mean this with all the respect I can muster, you don't seem to have read any of it.